I did not hate it. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hate that movie. I did not. Oh, hi, Bob. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bearded Geeks, the weekly grab bag of topics covering movies, comics, video games, and TV. My name is Jages. I am the Beard Master. With me today, oh, hey, it's Bobby Baxter.
Hello.
How you going, mate?
Pretty good. How are you?
I missed you so much.
Aw. I missed you too.
It's hard doing solo episodes.
I bet.
I was just saying just then, like, there was like 14 minutes of stuff I cut of last week's episode. Wow. And the week before as well. That's just me, like, fucking up and starting over. I'm like, it's not good enough. Do it again.
At least you can fuck up without an audience. That's kind of
good. Yeah. And there's another empty chair in the room today. Do you want to tell us why there's an empty chair in the room? Patrick Brown's not here. Why isn't he here?
He has come out with a version 3.0 of himself. That's
Patrick
right.
Brown, version 3.0. He's had a baby.
He has.
Now, Bobby, as an animator and a dad, can you give us a play-by-play commentary about what's going through the mind of Patrick Brown right now?
As a busy dad, not much would be going through his mind right now other than, like, keep the baby alive, basically. And everything else is kind of secondary to that.
Try not to boil this human potato for the first 2 years.
Pretty much, yeah. I think. I don't know. Check your PSN. He's probably just playing GTA or something.
He probably is, yeah. He probably is. He's probably lying about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just so he doesn't have to come for 6 months.
Can I borrow your baby for a quick Snapchat? I'm just gonna...
It's just in the supermarket. Can I just borrow your baby real quick? No, Patrick and Alira had the baby last week. Little boy. He's definitely a baby. He's not like a hamster or something.
Yeah.
It's definitely a baby.
It's definitely a baby.
And yeah, it's no mistaking who his father is as well. Fucking hell.
Yeah, yeah. I ran out of words.
The brown gene is laced through him.
Yes.
So congratulations, Pat and Alira.
Congrats, Pat.
So what's going on in your realm? I haven't seen you for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, same as Pat, dadding it up, but I've also been working extra stuff outside of my full-time job, which I'm totally not allowed to talk about.
An extra side project. I did mention this last week. You picked up another project you told me about.
Yeah, it's actually it's a really, really cool project that it came across my emails and I was like, fuck, that's too cool to turn down. Like, I really don't have much room in my life for extra work at the moment, but this one I was like, fuck, I gotta do it. Like, it sounds pretty cool.
You gonna tell me what it is?
I can tell you secretly. No one else.
I'm sure it's very cool. It must be cool because coming here is the coolest thing you do. So it must be cooler than this.
Yes.
The other day, I had to tell you about this because you'd be interested in this. The other day, I watched King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Okay. You know, the Charlie Hunnam King Arthur movie from last year with Jude Law. Guy Ritchie directed King Arthur movie.
Yep.
It's quite good. I actually really liked it.
Right.
I think my main point about this is I wanted to bring this up because I think Guy Ritchie is a big fan of Dark Souls.
Really?
Because there's this enemy, the one of the villains in the movie. There's this shot where he like comes out of the shadows, and he's like this big like skeleton warrior kind of dude.
Yeah.
But his cape is like smoke and like burning ashes and embers and that like coming out of this smoky billowing cape, and I'm like, that's straight out of fucking Dark Souls. That is like, yeah, it really had that sort of Dark Souls aesthetic.
Yeah. And
that to the villain and that, and like the color palette and that as well. But yeah, I did like that movie, but
I didn't realize it was so high fantasy, sort of like.
Well, that's the thing. It's like 2 movies smashed into one.
Yeah.
Because the most interesting side, the side that Guy Ritchie really excels at, is that, it starts off kind of high fantasy, but then Arthur becomes an orphan in London and he's raised in a brothel, and he pretty much like, there's this big montage at the start where he becomes pretty much like a London gangster, and he's pretty much like runs this little neighborhood in London, of course, in a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that's like the most interesting, and he really sort of excels at. There's this bit where he's being interrogated by like the head of the guard, about the one thing that really happened. And it's like straight out of Lock, Stock, where he's telling the story and it cuts back to what happened in the story.
With
and
lots of whip pans.
Yeah, lots of whip pans and that, and it cuts back to him, and he's like, what about the other guy, Freddy Four Fingers or whatever his name is? And he's like, I'm getting to that. He's like, was he actually there? And he says to the other guy, he's like, oh, I'm not sure. He wasn't there. Such and such was there. And then it whip pans over and it cuts back to this guy. And it's just like back and forth between this thing. And it was really cool. But the second half is more like sort of the fantasy side.
Right.
Introduces the magic and the sword. And, he sort of struggles with that a little bit. But on the whole, like, I didn't hate the movie. I'd probably put it down as a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
But, I quite liked it. It's pretty much like a medieval, like, Lock, Stock, and then it goes into sort of like Lord of the Rings fantasy movie light. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the least interesting, and he struggles with that. But it's still pretty cool. But yeah, it doesn't quite gel together as well.
Yeah.
And David Beckham's in there as well. He has a cameo.
Right.
There's just like this one shot he turns, and he's like, David Beckham. There's Bex. Kick the ball, Bex. The football in the UK. Kick the football.
Does he kick a severed head or something around?
But yeah, it's pretty cool. And the sword and everything, pulling the sword out of the stone and everything in that. And
that was one movie that, like when it came out, I was kind of keen to check it out, but it kind of just swept under by probably some other giant thing. But yeah, I wouldn't mind checking it out because I am a Guy Ritchie. Three
problems with that movie. Why it wasn't terribly successful. Charlie Hunnam isn't really a big enough sort of box office draw.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, the budget was way too high. It was a $175 million movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And 3rd, I don't think people are really interested in King Arthur at this time and place in the world at the moment.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe like 15 years, 20 years ago it would have been big, but
when I was watching this movie, like the end, the fight with like the big like bone dude and stuff with the Dark Soulsy cape, I was like, if this movie came out 20 years ago, this would have been the biggest fucking thing since sliced bread. Like everyone would have loved this movie. It would have been insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it came out in the 80s and that, like 80s, like late 70s, sort of 80s was really sort of the high time for like high fantasy and that. It's like those stages, those decades, like the Westerns were big in like the 50s and into the 60s, and then they sort of died by the wayside, and then, we moved into other different things, fantasy and that in the 80s. We really enjoyed that, and it's just, times just change and things dip in and out of fashion, and like everything does.
Yeah.
Cool. Been watching the Lethal Weapon TV series as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
It's actually not too bad. I went into the shop and they had like a 2 for $40 deal, and I went to get something, and then the Lethal Weapon first season was in that deal as well.
Yep. I
was like, oh, fuck it, I'll get it. I had a $10 voucher as well, so it only cost me $30 for the pair of the things I was buying. And yeah, I've watched like, Catherine and I watched like the first 4 episodes, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, high production values, like real glossy. Yeah, it's really nice. Best thing about it is, I think his name's Clayton Crawford and Damon Wayans. Which one of the Wayans brothers? Their chemistry is the best thing about the show. Riggs and Murtaugh puts a nice little modern spin on the show. It's not as good as the movies, but like I still quite enjoy it. Like every episode's like, we're in this place, we're getting tacos and that, and oh shit, we're getting drawn into this shootout and car chase and something, and then a truck blows up, and that just happens every episode. And the captain's like, do you know what this is? Do you know what this number is? This is how much damage in money cost you've caused in the last 2 days. And then they just leave the office, and the captain's like, don't blow shit up! And it's like, then they get drawn and stuff,
so
and blow shit up.
So it's kind of like a crime of the week rather than like a big sweeping...
It is to begin with. Like I say, I'm only probably 4 episodes in. Yeah. But yeah,
they probably have like a one guy that's sort of orchestrating all this shit over a long time or something, but...
Yeah, it'll come up maybe halfway through the season. We'll start to... But at the moment, it's really just sort of Riggs, like, coming to terms with, like, his wife's death and everything, and he's suicidal and shit. You've seen the movies, you know what the plot and that is, but... Yeah, pretty cool.
Have to get on that, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, yeah. Yeah, it's a good bit of fun. And it's, it looks really expensive, too, for TV. Yeah, glossy and shiny. Lots of explosions and gunfights and that. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I actually quite like Clayton Crawford, who plays Riggs.
Yep.
They mixed it up a bit. They made him like Riggs is from Texas and that, and they've changed how his wife actually died and stuff. She gets killed in like the first 5 minutes of the first episode.
Yep.
And it's really fucked up too, because like her water breaks and she's on the way to the hospital, but she gets fucking hit by a truck. and like the wife and like kid are killed.
Too
And you're
soon.
like, oh,
Too
yeah.
soon.
You know,
How do you be feeling that
this
too?
would really affect you, you know,
Yeah.
as a busy dad. You just felt that
Man,
knife just cut your heart.
That's a little fucking topic that I really have been meaning to bring up, actually, like, since since becoming the parent. Movies and TV and shit that, like, involve kids or, like, family shit now really fuck me up a lot more than they used to. I used to be, like, a stone wall, like, you know, you could show me anything and it wouldn't really affect me too
You're
much.
like, holy shit, all those kids just got murdered. Back on with the gun chase or whatever.
Yeah, and now, like, holy fuck, that stuff, like, messes me up. It's fucked. It's weird. It's like some little gene turns on in your body and you just, like, you can't handle that shit anymore. It's weird.
It's called the dad switch.
Yeah.
Just flicks.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you watch that and you're like, where's my baby?
Yeah.
There she is. She's just sleeping. She's sleeping and grizzling away over there.
I can't remember what it was we were watching a few weeks ago, but Hales and I, it was something on TV and, like, somebody just... Oh, no, what it was fucking Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Where they leave the baby, like, he takes the baby out and leaves it in the snow for the White Walker
Oh.
and walks off.
Yeah.
Man, like, when I first watched that, like, years ago, it didn't do anything to me. I was just like, oh, that's kind of fucked up. Whatever. When we watched that the other week, Hales and I were just writhing on the couch, like, oh no, it's like the baby screaming as he walks off. We're just like,
You start to get the cold sweats.
Yeah, it's fucked.
It's like, is it hot in here? Jeez. You can't leave that baby.
Yeah.
Does it kind of just put you in that thing where, like, what if I accidentally left my baby out in the snow? Just like,
it does, yeah.
I left my baby out in the backyard or something like that.
Yeah, yep.
It's like accidentally leaving a dog in a hot car or something like that. You're like,
fuck.
shit, the dog's in the car. Fuck.
Yeah.
Don't leave your dogs in hot cars.
No, don't.
They'll be dead in 4 minutes, I think it is. It takes about 4 minutes for a dog to die in a hot car.
Fuck, that's not long at all.
So don't take your dogs to the fucking shop. What's wrong with you? Leave them at home.
Yeah, they're happy there.
Yeah. They're a nice big bowl of cold water.
Yeah.
I miss you, mate. It's not the same without you. I miss Pat. I text him and shit, and he doesn't reply to me, and I'm like, no, he's in the proper dad mode at the moment. So, well, it's all going well. I'm glad.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Now, Bob,
Yep.
I don't know if you actually know this, but it's your birthday later this week.
Oh, shit.
I thought I'd better remind you because you might forget otherwise. Now you're going to a Falls Festival, like a music festival, like out in the middle of a fucking paddock or something like that.
Party in the paddock. Yeah.
Party in the paddock.
Yep.
In Australia.
In Australia. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to go last year, but I think by the time I moved to Tassie, I missed the kind of ticket sales and shit. So I was like, well, this year it's on my birthday weekend. Fuck it, I'll get some tickets and check it out. So,
Anyone I know at the Party in the paddock? Friends of Rom, Silverchair.
No, I mean, music's changed a lot. So a lot of the bill, I actually don't know a lot of the bands on there, but
Might discover something new.
Because I'm old. Yeah, well, that's why I go to these things. I like to discover some new shit. But I think the Avalanches are the headline.
Oh, sweet.
So that'd be pretty cool to see live. But
Wicked.
yeah, I'm just up for some fresh shit. So
Yep.
yeah,
That's awesome. Now, because it's your birthday, I got you a little something.
Oh,
Come on. You can't have to tell what it is by the box. But
yeah.
It's all wrapped up.
This box isn't like the same size and shape as like many of the boxes around this room.
Shut up and fucking open it.
Whoa. But the good thing is, the shape of the box still doesn't tell me what one it is. Oh, I will be going home with a Rocco. Yes, sweet. It's a pop vinyl for Rocco's Modern Life with Rocco and Spunky. My man.
I saw him on there and I was like, oh, I'll give Bob one of them for his birthday. And I was like, they're actually really cool. I want them for myself. So I bought two. And they turned up yesterday. And I put like a sneaky photo on the chat and I was like, I've had a good mail day. And I just had like my Rocco's Modern Life little pop vinyl. And Bob's just frothing at the mouth at
Thanks,
it.
Mudder.
Yeah, it's alright, mate.
I actually joked right before we started recording and said I picked up his other one and said I'm taking that with me on the way home. So I really am.
It was between them and Heifer. And I was like,
Oh.
Heifer looks really cool, but you get spunky with
You get
Rocco. And
2
that
in
was
one. Yeah.
that was the selling point for me.
Hell yeah. My shelf has gone through a massive Nickelodeon upgrade in the last few months.
Mm.
Yeah, I got like all these sweet bobbleheads and shit from the US sent over, like Ren and Stimpy one.
And Bobble Butts.
Bobble Butts, yeah. Stimpy's got like an actual wobbling ass, which is just amazing. And Ren, you can squeeze his head and his eyes bug out. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool.
And it comes with like a little muddy mud skipper.
Yeah, yeah.
Dyslexic couldn't pronounce mud skipper then.
And Stimpy come with little nose goblins.
Yeah.
So hanging there.
It would have been good if it comes to like Stimpy's son. Like the fart. Yeah. That would have been great. If they had a Kowalski figure, I'd be sold. Just like, give me that.
Man, yeah, it'd have to be a big fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Like a big 10-inch thing or something like that. Yeah, a massive one. That'd be awesome.
I'd
Just
be
this
all over
big,
that.
round, like, bowling ball Kowalski figure.
John K, if you're listening, go and release that, please.
Aren't
he probably doesn't
you
own it.
buddies on Twitter or something like that, John K?
Oh, yeah, we chat all the time.
Just send him a private message on Twitter. Just get him to call Funko and make some Kowalski pops.
Yeah.
Might do the news.
Let's do it.
Red Dead Redemption 2 has been delayed again.
Yeah.
When's it released? October 26th, which is Patrick Brown's birthday. And I messaged him the other day. He's like, oh, that's a good birthday treat. And I just put this thing on there and it's like, Alira, Pat, what do you want for your birthday? And I was just like, Pat, to play Red Dead Redemption 2 all day undisturbed. And he's like, yeah, that's definitely what I'm going to ask for. So Red Dead Redemption 2 has been delayed again until October 26th, but there's an official release date now. So it would have been like a 12-month delay from the original date.
Funny
but that's
thing
fine.
is, he's going to have to go out and get that on his birthday.
Yeah. I'm just going to go down to the shop and get that game you bought me. Thoughts on Red Dead 2?
Can't wait.
We're getting a posse.
But we'll happily wait still, though.
Hopefully your kid will be past the grizzly stage by then. She'll be sleeping through the night. We could maybe play some Red Dead online.
Yeah, well, that's hopeful. But it is true. Like, at the moment, like, when it said it was delayed, because, we were sort of talking about it being out within a couple of weeks from now, originally, weren't we? Like,
gearing up towards, the next few months or whatever.
And that whole summer, I've just been thinking, like, there's no way I can invest myself into a game like that at the moment. Like, I've literally sat down in front of the PlayStation so many times with like just a little spare few minutes to like play something, and I just end up going through the store menu looking for games because I can't even bring myself to open something because I know I'm gonna have to get up and go do something else. So it's really sad. I'm getting PlayStation time in, but I'm not actually playing any games on it. So.
Maybe you're just playing that really well. You just was like, you found out that it was delayed another 6 months. You were just like, yes.
Yeah. I secretly was. I was like, I don't mind at all.
Yeah, no, I don't mind at all. Like, they just want to put the glossy coat and that on it. But,
yeah.
I mean, we've got God of War before that. They would have probably been coming around about the same time. Story trailer was out a week and a half ago. We talked about this on the chat. I talked about it on last week's show.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that story trailer? Fuck, that game looks great.
Yeah, I'm super keen for that.
Yep.
Looks awesome.
April 20th? Yeah, 20th.
Mm.
I'm already planning my holidays around October. So booking it in so I get to play Red Dead.
Yeah.
I'm just taking a week off so I'm play Red Dead for a week. See you later. Don't disturb me. Text my girlfriend. I'm going away for a week. But I'm not leaving. I'm staying home.
I like the changes that God of War sort of looks like it's put in place, like there was something about the other God of Wars I just could never really get into. Like, I think when they came out, they were great, but I just, it was the style of game it could never, you're choking on your cider. That's what you get for drinking cider.
I ran out of booze and my girlfriend left a couple of ciders in the fridge, so I had one. I just took a swig of it and it just all like fizzed in my throat.
He was silent trying to let me continue and I just couldn't.
Fuck! Okay, I'm good. Please continue.
I don't know where I was.
God of War.
Oh, yeah. Something about there.
They just didn't grab you.
They just didn't Patrick Brown trademark grab me. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's that style of like hack and slash fixed camera kind of thing. Just I'm never into those games much. And this new one kind of seems more like behind the shoulder, maybe even a little Dark Soulsy, but you know, a little more relaxed, I guess. But
it remains to be seen.
Yeah, but it looks
very appealing. Though.
It looks, the combat looks a lot more appealing to me. So
it's really sexy too. Very sexy. Do you want to try and ring Pat?
Well, you can give it a go.
You won't answer.
Leave a big.
Hey, mate. Hey, can't really talk right now.
We'll leave a big silent gap just in case.
Just got kid in one hand, baby in the other. Hey, mate. You're on the show. How you going?
On the show. Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Bob's here. What's going on?
Hey.
Going mutters.
How's the dad life, mate? You got like a toddler in one hand and a baby in the other?
Pretty much. Was like that before, yeah.
Juggling.
I'm just in the office now doing some work.
Are ya?
Yeah.
Come round, mate. Drop what you're doing. Come round.
Yep.
Come round, mate. We got nice cold beers here for you.
Oh, I wish. No,
How you been, mate? Tell us about the dad life.
Oh, it's pretty full on. There's always something happening. Trying to help as much as I can and trying to earn some money at the same time. Trying to juggle a few things. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
You got it.
Juggle a few babies.
Yeah, a few babies, yeah.
Did you come home with the right one? That's the main thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Looks like it.
Looks like it, yeah,
Pretty
looks
sure.
like it. Have you got anything you want to say to your adoring public before you go, mate?
Hello, and I wish I was there, but, you know, life. On the spot. I love you all. There you go. How's that?
Yeah, that's good enough. What do you want to tell your female fans now?
Well, I don't know.
Stop
This is
sending me
gold.
flowers. My wife's getting really annoyed by the flowers.
And the edible undies.
What's on the show tonight? What's on the menu?
Oh, we haven't announced it yet. We haven't actually brought up what we're talking about. We're talking about the Cloverfield Paradox.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, cool.
What was the Patrick Brown review? One word review.
Oh, Jesus.
One word review.
That sums it up.
How about shithouse? Shithouse. There you go.
And that was Patrick Brown's review of the Cloverfield Paradox.
How am I going to review it now?
All right, mate, we'll get going. We've got a show to do.
Yeah, all right, mate. Have fun with it.
We'll see you in 6 months.
Have a good one.
See you, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
And he's gone. He's gone forever.
And that's the last we heard of Patrick Brown.
And that's the last we ever heard of Patrick Brown. So, man, we're really rusty at this.
Sorry, go again.
No, it's fine. So the Superbowl was the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and we had heaps of Superbowl trailers the other day. I'm going to rattle through them. I'm going to get your thoughts.
Okay, because I didn't watch any of them except for one.
The two I sent you.
Yeah.
Didn't you really?
Yeah, it was pretty much Dundee and what did you send me?
Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah, I watched that one too.
So you haven't watched any others?
I don't think so.
Did you watch the Solo trailer?
Yes. Is that
Alright.
part of the Super Bowl?
Did you watch the Skyscraper trailer?
No, but I saw the the fucking poster for it. Yeah.
Looks ridiculous.
Yep.
You're like, he's not going to make that jump. All right. Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay.
What'd you think?
Yeah.
Because you haven't seen the last few.
No, I haven't seen fucking basically any of them since like the first one. I think.
96.
Yeah. Bits and pieces of them. It looks pretty slick. I'd be up for it.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll rush out to the cinema to watch it, but I'll definitely check it out on Blu-ray.
Your inside is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks sexy as fuck. I'm there. I showed it to Catherine the other night.
Yeah.
I give her the tablet, put the 4K trailer on. I was like, watch this. She's just sitting there. She watched it for like the 2.5 minutes. She's like, before like the titles come up, she's like, when's this come out? July, that's ages away. And she handed it to me. She likes, that looks really fucking good. She goes, we'll be going to watch that. I was like, yes, we will.
You guys never miss a Mission Impossible, do you?
No, the last one. Yeah, we saw Rogue Nation.
Yep.
But we didn't say Ghost Protocol, but I had that and, we watched it and stuff and won her over with those films.
Yep.
She was over the other week and I went to pick a couple of movies. I was like, do you want to watch Labyrinth or Blade Runner 2049? She's like, I don't mind, she goes. I was like, do you want to watch Labyrinth or Blade Runner 2049? And she's like, I don't mind. I was like, do you want to watch Labyrinth or Blade Runner? She's like, Blade Runner. I was like, okay. And then I put it on, and like 2 hours and 38 minutes later, the credits start, and she turns to me, she's like, why did you make me watch that movie? You know that's not the kind of movie I'm into. And I was like, yeah, but did you think it was pretty good? And she's like, oh, it looked really good. I was like, okay, that's good enough for me. Yeah, it looks really good. The Tom Cruise like stunt of the movie in this is obviously the helicopter, where he's hanging off the bottom of the helicopter and he falls down, and that real stunt. Tom Cruise is fucking insane.
Yeah,
for like nearly pushing on a pensioner, however old he is. But yeah, it looks really good. Lots of globe tropping, Simon Pegg in there, and
yeah. Do you think it's gonna work well as a standalone thing? Like, a guy like me has not seen any Mission Impossibles in fucking forever. Like, am I going to have have all this extensive back knowledge of...
Nah, I don't really think so. Like, the guy narrating at the start of the trailer, he was the villain in the last film. And there's also Ilsa. She was in the last movie in that as well. Some of the stuff, obviously, they'll probably reference back to. It'd probably be handy to watch that, but you could easily get away without watching it because, the story would pretty much just be self-contained.
Yeah.
There'd probably be a couple of throwbacks to the last movie or whatever, but yeah, you could get away with it.
Yeah.
It'd be fine.
Cool. Because I had that with one of the Bourne movies, or it might have been like when they tried to do the reboot thing. And I think I watched that one, but there was all these callbacks to like earlier Bourne movies I hadn't actually seen before, and I was like, so fucking lost. I think I got about 20 minutes in, and I was just like, I don't understand what the fuck's going on.
The Bourne Legacy.
Yeah, I think
with Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
The scene where he's in the cabin with like Oscar Isaac, and he's like thinks he's an agent, like taking over for him. I thought that was pretty good. And then there's this bit where he like fights wolves and shit, like out in the snow. Yeah, it was odd.
Yeah, I got completely lost.
The story in that one's a bit too far-fetched. They had like these pills that were like making performance-enhanced soldiers, like kind of like super soldiers. They were stronger and they could better endurance and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's a bit far-fetched even for these Bourne movies.
Yeah.
But then they got Matt Damon back for the last one, and it was kind of medium. I fell asleep at the end. I was very tired.
Oh, wow.
yeah. I get tired, man. I work early.
No, it's not. It's not a thing on you. It's a thing on the Bourne movies.
Yeah, this last one.
Like
yeah,
it was a high-paced action movie puts you to sleep. Then you got a problem with your.
Yeah, it was a bit medium. It was a bit medium. It just got to the end, and I was just real tired and couldn't keep my eyes open. I was out of it. Dundee. Now, I've talked about this the last couple of weeks, but yeah, it's just a big ad for Tourism Australia. But now people are like really taken with this whole Dundee thing. They want a movie, including me.
Yeah, I think I'd be keen.
You watch that trailer? Yeah, you said he's getting through it, and he's like, "This isn't actually a movie, isn't it? This is just like an ad for Australia." It's like 36,000 miles of beach, and I'm like, "That's 36,000 kilometers." Well, Chris Hemsworth.
It'd be even more kilometers than that.
Yeah, even more kilometers. Much more kilometers. Do the math yourselves. Now, it looked good. It looked fun. Paul Hogan was at the end at the bar. He's having a pint.
I remember when you showed us the first teaser, I was not sold at all, because it was just basically fucking, what's his name, Kenny Powers bloke.
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride, yeah. Just doing his fucking knife thing and going, good eye, or whatever it was he was doing. And it wasn't really clear from that stage whether he was an American or he was trying to do an Australian accent. I was like, I don't know what he's doing here. And I thought, fucking, if they're gonna cast him as an Aussie, I'm like, nah, this is fucked. I don't want any part of it. And then the next teaser that came along, where it was more back and forth between him and Hemsworth getting off the bus, then I was sold, because I was like, okay, this is just like a fucking total role reversal of take the Aussie and put him in America, This is like take the American, put him in Australia. Basically.
Take the Yank and put him in the outback.
Yeah. And yeah, Hemo was great, and the little.
Did you see the third trailer, which had like Hugh Jackman and Ruby Rose and Russell Crowe and everything in that?
Yeah,
yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ruby Rose was like the police chief or whatever. I was like, I'd watch that movie. Another person I've got a thing for, Ruby Rose. And Russell Crowe was like the villain or whatever, and Hugh Jackman was like the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. What bloody Dundee? Now, look really good. I'm disappointed that it's not an actual movie. Yeah. Apparently, Chris Hemsworth because he's an ambassador for Australia, the entire tourism campaign, he's making $36 million.
Jesus.
And his brother and that was in the trailer and stuff, and because I read this article in the newspaper, and it was pretty much like, yeah, I got my brother in, made him work for mates rates, less than 20 grand or 200 grand or something like that it was. I was like, yeah, mates rates, fucking hell.
Yeah, no, how patriotic is that? Just like, yeah, I'll spruik our country for $36 million. More dollars than there are in our entire population. Nearly double the population.
That's
in
true.
dollars.
That's absolutely true.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, good on you, Hemsworth.
Rein
Promote
it in,
Tasmania,
Hemo.
promote Australia.
He's like, I'm not going back to bloody Seno anytime soon.
You're laughing all the way to the bank. We also had the Solo Star Wars story trailer. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me your thoughts on this trailer, because there's a lot of love and hate.
I don't know. I'm just like right down the middle with it. I'm not particularly super excited about it. I didn't get those kind of hairs raised on the back of your neck like you did when, the Force Awakens trailer dropped.
Yep.
I didn't really get that much out of the Last Jedi trailer either, but I think, it looks... I'll probably enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good chance that I will, because I have enjoyed all the latest Star Wars movies that come out. Star War.
There was only one.
Go see a Star Wars. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna like it, but I'm not like jumping out of my seat, like hanging for it kind of thing, And there was like one shot there at the end with the Millennium Falcon twisting around all through the tentacles and shit, and it just kind of felt like they reused that twisty shot out of The Force Awakens, but to not as good an effect or something. I don't know. Like I was just like, I'm not,
One thing I liked in the trailer is how they really had the emphasis on him, like, he's like, hang on, and then he like flips the controls and pulls the lever. You really see that action of him doing it, and then like he flips the Falcon into the TIE fighter and like knocks it off into the asteroid or whatever. And I was like, well, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it looks fun. It looks fun enough.
Yeah.
I think mainly a couple of problems that people probably have with this is, one, another Star Wars movie already. We're getting,
But we all knew that.
Yeah.
We all knew that, like, we were going to get a main one, and then a side, and then a main one and a side. Like, that's kind of been their plan all along. Two
is that people associate, Harrison Ford with Han Solo, like, so much.
Yeah.
That they can't really see past, another actor sort of in this role.
That's where it's going to be make or break. Yeah, I think, yeah.
And I think this movie it didn't really need to be told. We didn't really need to have this movie. I think it's just going to be Han Solo's greatest hits. It's going to be, we meet Chewie, Lando Calrissian, I win the Millennium Falcon in the game, I do the Kessel Run. We see the Kessel Run. Jabba the Hutt's probably going to be in there.
See, this is, we're going to bring this up with my review of the Cloverfield movie, but it's that thing of like, the best bit is like leaving the mystery there, like the way that they talk about the Kessler Run. I kind of don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I just want to picture this grandiose thing in my head of,
because whatever you show me is never going to be as good as the mythical thing that I picture in my mind.
Yeah, from like a 5-year-old's mind to, living your whole life picturing this thing in your head of like what he did, and they're going to show it on screen and it's going to be like, oh, well, you've changed all of that now, kind of thing, Like, I'm really against these kind of movies that are like showing you how this thing happened, how we got from A to B. And it's like, well, how about you just leave a bit of mystery in there, or a little bit of expositional backstory for us to play with.
That's where the fun is.
Yeah,
that's where
exactly.
because as soon as you know, same as like last week when I talk about the Prestige, like as soon as you know how a magic trick works, there's the fun gone.
Yeah.
Because you already know. Because then, like, you see it again, and you're like, I know exactly what they're doing there. There's, he's pushing that box down, and there's the bird's not disappearing, there's a bird getting crushed, and he's got another one up his sleeve. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Who
actually enjoyed the story of Darth Vader becoming Darth Vader? Fucking barely anyone. Everyone enjoys, like, Darth Vader the badass, and they all picture in their head, like, how could this guy come to be the fucking supreme ruler of the fucking galaxy and this absolute fucking nasty prick. Oh, we'll show you in 3 movies, and you'll fucking hate the entire journey because
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
And I'm a little shit from a fucking.
I actually watched Attack of the Clones again the other day.
Yeah.
In saying I watched it, I think I slept through about 40 minutes of it in the middle because I just had a little nap.
Yeah.
And then I woke up. But yeah, like Mark Bernardin, who's co-host on Fat Man on Batman, he actually said it really well a few weeks ago. He said the Star Wars films, he said it's really a universe and films about moments. He said, because you look at the Star Wars films, he said they're not really that good of films. Like the way they're plotted and they're pieced together, they're not great.
No.
But, going into a movie, going in to see Star Wars when you're a kid, and, the first shot of the Star Destroyer just like coming into frame, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming, and there's this massive ship just flying in, that's, one moment, and meeting Yoda on Dagobah and lifting the X-Wing, they're movies about moments, they're not about, you remember the moments, not the whole tale. It's not that people don't remember the whole story and that, but he said, they're really movies about moments. And like in The Last Jedi, like the scene where Rey and Kylo Ren fight the Praetorian Guards, like that shot, like that's the shot I remember of that movie. Like that's the moment. Like when I think of The Last Jedi, I think about that moment. That was my favorite. And the titty milk.
The titty milk.
And the milky mustache.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're like that's a good point. Like, these movies are really sort of like they're moments you remember.
That's what's endearing about the Star Wars universe in particular and what everybody loved about the original trilogy was the galaxy looked lived in. It looked like it had a history already.
It was dirty and run down and things were broken and
you don't want to see it like you don't want to go back to when it was clean and see how it got dirty.
Because they have that shot in the Solo trailer. They have the shot of the whole of the Millennium Falcon and like all the like the padding and stuff in the corridors, just like pristine, clean white and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's the Falcon before it got all dirty and shit. All lived in.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and that kind of takes away the fun because. Like, like watching Star Wars and being on Tatooine, like when they're going to the cantina, they're in like the speeder and they're just like zipping through the streets and stuff. And there are, aliens and droids and stormtroopers and that walking through. And you see all these buildings and these huts and you go into the cantina and everything's like run down and dirty. Like everything has this history behind it.
Yep.
Unlike, say, like a Star Trek, which is all like glossy and beautiful and it's like the perfect vision of the future and that. Like, it's really nice to look at, but it's not as interesting.
Yeah.
Because whereas you see like a Star Wars and you see like a room full of like destroyed droids. Like in Return of the Jedi when 3PO and R2 are like dumped in the room with like the destroyed droids and stuff. Like I always remember seeing like one of the droids and just the design of it looked really interesting. It's like, I think it's one of the first ones they ever have. Like I'd never seen it in another one. I'm probably wrong. But just that shot of that droid, like that destroyed droid in Return of the Jedi, I was always like, man, that's a cool looking droid. Like I've never seen one like that. Like I wonder what that was actually for.
Yeah.
I wonder what actually happened to that droid. Is that another kind of protocol droid or not? Or
exactly.
It's that's
like
the kind of
stuff of like, what was that for? Why did that exist? What is this room for? Why are they collecting droids? Like, and they're all questions that you're asking yourself while you're watching the movie, but you don't want to be fucking told that 15 years later. So
takes the fun out of it.
Yeah. So I mean, getting back to the Solo movie, I'm not against them doing it.
Neither am I.
But in general, like Hollywood needs to rein in this shit of like showing us how we got to our favorite movies, because fucking they're really lackluster stories generally. Very rarely do you get one that surprises you and you go, wow, like that just changed all of those movies for me for the better. Generally it changes it for the worse, and you're like, oh well, now we got here because fucking Suki Lala, you know, chucked the shits and he became a bad
Like,
guy.
I like Han Solo. I was never really that interested in how Han Solo became Han Solo.
No, he's just a badass.
You know? But it's a different story for, like, say, an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, the Kenobi spin-off film that's in the works. Like, I'm not going to learn the origin of Obi-Wan Kenobi, because I already learned that in the 3 prequels. And that was fine. Like, that worked. But what I want to see the continuing adventures of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, if I get a self-contained movie, you know, that's fine for me. Because I've seen the start and I've seen the end. But if there's another little story there in the middle where he gets into a rollicking adventure, fuck yeah, I'm down for that. Take my $20. I want to see that movie.
Definitely.
And I really like fucking Ewan McGregor in that role.
That's definitely, hopefully, what they do with Han Solo here. Like, they just, rather than give him, like, an origins kind of story, just give him, like, a day in the life, maybe, of Han when he's not saving the galaxy. That'd be kind of interesting. Yeah.
But like I say, that role is so associated with Harrison Ford, it's hard seeing anyone else in that role, because like, that guy's he's not even doing a good Harrison Ford impression.
Well, that's the thing. Harrison Ford was like youngish when he originally did
he was like in his mid-30s, I think.
Yeah, so like to see a younger version again, like, I don't know what else you're going to kind of get out of it. So, I don't know. But I'm cautiously optimistic. Like, I'm not ready to slag against this movie yet, because I mean, all the latest Star Wars movies have been fucking really enjoyable for me. Like, I know a lot of people were tearing them apart, but I liked them. So, yeah.
Just all this reshoots shit. Like, this movie was like 90% in the can with shooting, and they sacked these 2 directors, brought in Ron Howard. He pretty much reshot 80% of the film, or probably more. Yeah. And then, you know, it's done. And then I heard not long ago they were doing more reshoots. So what's that? Another 10 or 20 million on top of another 80 to 100 million they probably already spent. So what's the budget of this movie going to end up being before it even comes out? 350 million?
And what are they, like, reshooting based off feedback from The Last Jedi or shit? Like, you know, are we going to get, like, some watered down, like, kind of shitted version?
Coming off that too, it was just announced today, you know how Rian Johnson is working on his own Star Wars trilogy away from the Skywalker saga? Well, it was just announced today, what is it, D.B. Weiss and I think David Benioff, the creators of the Game of Thrones TV series, they're going to write and create their own Star Wars trilogy, which is separate from the Skywalker saga, which is separate from Rian Johnson's trilogy he's working on. So expect like 20 Star Wars films in the next 15 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think like this is going to become the new comic book movies thing and we're all going to get worn out?
I'm already starting to feel worn out because I just saw The Last Jedi and I'm like, another Star Wars movie in a couple of months.
Yeah.
If it's not like a 2.5 hour movie, that's okay. If it's a bit over 2 hours, yeah, that's still okay. But if it was like maybe 100 minutes, 105 minutes, like that's okay. I don't need to sit through a Star Wars movie doesn't have to be, 2 hours or anything like these superhero movies.
Yeah, that's true. I don't mind one a year though. Like it's kind
of... one a year's fine. Like seeing a Skywalker saga, then a Rogue One, and then another one, and then Han Solo, and then another bloody one, and then we're getting another 6.
Yeah.
And apparently Star Wars TV series as well. Disney are working on, I think, a couple of live action Star Wars TV series.
Wow.
Rebels is wrapping up as well. That's nearly done.
Yep.
I'd be keen to watch that, actually, if I got the whole thing. Just sit there and watch through it. That'd be fun.
I'll tell you what I do like about the Han Solo movie.
Tell me!
The posters. Have you
seen they're fun. They're really fun.
They're slick. Yeah,
they're old really school. Cool.
With the Lando and stuff. Yeah.
They're almost like almost like hand-drawn shit. Obviously, they're not. But, yeah. Get like a bit of that sort of Struzan throwback.
Yeah. And that cool, the images inside the text kind of thing. It looks really nice, yeah.
Yeah, it looks really cool. What else was there? They had the new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom trailer, which I watched, which I actually found more appealing than the last trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But the best Jurassic Park thing I saw was the Jeep ad with Jeff Goldblum.
No, I did not see that.
Didn't you see that one?
No.
I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to pause it.
All
I'm
right.
going to show it to you. Be right back. And what'd you think of that?
Yeah, dug it. Cool.
And what was it you just said about the end of the trailer?
Right at the end, he's like got his hand on the steering wheel, and it's just so gently like placed there, like it's such a Goldblum hand on the steering wheel.
That was a good trailer. That was probably the most fun thing I saw at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We also had the trailer for Skyscraper, the new Dwayne Johnson movie, The Rock.
Right.
It looks utterly ridiculous, but I think I'm going to pay to watch it. It looks that good. Yeah.
I've only seen the poster design of it. I had a mate like posted on Facey, and he was trying to decipher what the hell this poster meant, because it was like this crane a million miles up in the sky, and he's like jumping across to the building, this little tiny rock silhouette. But the angle is fucking terrible. Like, he's never making that jump.
They have that shot at the end of the trailer.
They do.
Because he's trying to get back in the skyscraper, and he climbs up the crane, and then he's on top, and there's like a police helicopter, and then there's like the bad guy's helicopter, and they start chasing him and shooting at him, and he's got no choice but to run, and he runs and jumps over to the building, and then it cuts to the title of the movie, Skyscraper.
As he's like halfway across.
Yeah, he's like, slow motion, and it's like, boom,
I just picture it just like dropping suddenly, like going across in slow motion, then going, see ya.
I'll show it to you when the show's done.
I was looking at the poster though, and it says like Skyscraper, and underneath it says Summer, and I was trying to decipher it. I'm like, is it Skyscraper Summer? Like, is this a Baywatch like, sequel set in the city? And he's like jumping off the highest diving board to like save a lady down below or something.
Just like, I'll be there.
He's doing a massive bomb to like clear the water out of the pool and save her life.
He would die.
He'd be right.
No, he's like an ex-FBI SWAT guy.
Of course.
And he was injured or whatever, and he had his leg blown off, and now he's got like one of those fake legs with a metal rod in the middle.
So that's how he's going to make the jump.
Right. And then they've hired him as like the like security chief to like check the building and everything, and at the beginning of the trailer he's like, you've made the world's tallest building, but you've also all these bloody problems, and then like these terrorist guys come in, they take over the building. It's pretty much like Die Hard. And then right at the end of the movie, they have, instead of like the John McClane moment where he's like hanging from the fire hose wrapped around him, he's climbing up this rope, but he falls and it gets hooked around his leg, but it's his fake leg, and then it starts to like unclip, and he's just like clunk. And then it's just like the trailer, like, yeah, cuts to the end. I'm like, whoa, what's gonna happen? So yeah, I think I'm gonna pay to see that movie.
He's gonna unclick the leg, fall down, and on the way down, click his leg into something new, and he'll get like an upgraded leg, and it'll save his life.
It's got like a rocket built into it or whatever. I want you to come watch this movie, so I'm gonna shout you if you don't want to watch it, and you're gonna come watch it with me.
I'll be shouted, sure. It's gonna be the worst shit ever.
Oh, come on, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. It'll be good fun. And finally, the last trailer that really came out that we're actually going to talk about tonight was the very first promotion that we ever saw for the new Cloverfield movie, which we talked about the last couple of weeks. It was rumored to be Cloverfield Station, but the movie's actually called The Cloverfield Paradox. And it was like a 30-something second trailer. Mm-hmm. And then right at the end, it's like, stay tuned after the Super Bowl, debuts on Netflix tonight. I'm just like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Like, this is the first we've seen of this movie, and we're going to watch it in like 2 hours.
This is the future, hopefully.
This is the future.
Well, I don't know.
This is like, before anything we get into the movie, this is like how we used to watch movies. We'd see a trailer, and that was it. Or we wouldn't even see a trailer. We'd see a trailer, like, when it's out at the cinema.
Yeah.
Like, Jurassic Park, now playing. Go see it. We'd see, like, one of those little 10, 15-second snippets they'd have on free-to-air TV.
Yeah.
And then we watch it, and we make up our own minds.
Yeah.
Bob, you watched it. Did you make up your own mind?
I definitely made up my own mind.
So the story for the Cloverfield Paradox is it's based in the year 2028. And the Earth, we're in the middle of an energy shortage. We've only got probably 5 years worth of like resources and that left, and we're going to run out of fuel and that. And tensions with Russia and Germany's a bit pissed, and we're running out of power all the time. Power's cutting out all the time. So we have this this particle accelerator. It's called the Shepherd Particle Accelerator. It's the biggest particle accelerator ever built. And because it was so dangerous and they're going to test it, they decide to test it out in space. So they build the space station called Cloverfield Station. And they're in space, and they go into space to kick up this particle accelerator. And they think, when we get it going, we're going to have infinite energy, and we're going to solve our energy problems, and everyone's going to be happy and not murdering each other. And it's going to be a new age for the planet Earth. But that doesn't happen, does it, Bob?
No.
Doesn't, does it?
Nope.
So at the beginning of the movie, they kept trying to test the accelerator, but it fails. It never activates. And then we get this montage showing of, it's been 60-something days, 100-something days, 200-something days. They've been in space for a couple of years, like testing it, and it never works. They never get it activated. But then they do test it, and it does activate, but then shit gets real after that. The Earth disappears. And they're like, they don't know where they are, and then lots of weird shit starts to happen on the space station. We're going full spoilers for this, so no spoiler-free section. We're just going full spoilers because it makes it way easier to talk about.
Yeah.
Bob, do you want to tell us about some of the weird shit that happened?
Okay, so some of the cool weird shit that happened.
Yeah, tell me the cool weird shit.
Was, I particularly like, there was a scene, so yeah, Earth goes missing. I think this might even actually been before they even realized Earth missing, because there was some weird shit.
on the bridge they have all their consoles, and right at the end of the bridge there's this big window, and we can see Earth. It's like right in front of us, and I'm like, it's going to be a shot where they're looking out there, and it's just going to be black space.
Yep. And there was, because the whole like screens blow up and shit. Like they fire up this accelerator. It like runs steady for a little bit, doesn't it? And they're all celebrating. Hey, woo, we did it!
Yeah, we've got a stable activation.
And then of course it fucking all goes to shit, because otherwise we wouldn't have a movie. So it all goes.
The end. We got it going. Everyone's happy. The end.
Yeah.
It's been a 20-minute movie.
Well done, humanity. Yeah, and screens blow up and shit goes everywhere, and stuff's all in different rooms from where it was originally, and just weird shit's going on. And everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? They're running around, and then they sort of walk out to the bridge and go, where's Earth? Like, what the fuck? But there was one scene, the one cool bit that I liked was where they just hear this kind of like monster sound through the wall. Like there's a metal wall. And they can hear, I can't remember who finds
They start walking through the ship. They can hear this noise. It sounds like screaming and roaring, and it's like, and they're like, oh, it's behind this panel. It's behind this panel. They're like, we're just going to take it off. And they're like, don't take it off. Like, we've got to take it off. And so they're unscrewing the screws and that, and
the whole time this is a Cloverfield movie, you're going like,
yeah,
there's a
you're
fucking
like
monster behind there.
You're like, they're going to take the panel off, and there's going to be nothing there.
Yeah.
And they take the panel off, and
there's a fucking, like, human in there that's, like, melded into all the wires and wall
pipes and everything,
and
like,
shit,
going through her hands, through her body and shit, and she's just screaming and, like, covered in blood, and it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But really cool.
That scene was really cool. I didn't rate much of the movie overall, but that scene was really cool. I like that. And it was a different twist when it, because you're just sort of waiting for a CG monster to pop out, or there to be absolutely nothing there, and some kind of airborne thing gets out or some shit. But they were really cool in the way that it's just like, it was a human's fucking wailing noise that was making that noise behind the thing. So that was cool.
Like, we got to cut her out. We got to cut her out. And he's like, don't cut that wire. That's like a power cable, like going through her hand. If you cut that, you're gonna get fucking killed or whatever. And like, whoa. That was the one bit, like when they took that panel off, because I expected there to be nothing, and then something happened. But they took it off, and there's this woman in the wall, and she's like, got all these cables and that going through. And I'm like, whoa, fuck. That was the bit that got me.
And then you just start going like, wait a second, how the fuck did a woman get in the walls? Like,
yeah, it's like, what happened there?
Away? And then you think at first I thought, oh, maybe she's a stowaway. And I'm like, how could she have survived fucking 2 years in that wall? and then also, why is she like melded with everything? That's just crazy. So yeah, I was starting to get a little bit excited for like what this movie might be at that point, but then it all kind of just dropped off pretty sharply from there, I think, because we sort of step into the whole multiple dimensions paradoxy cross-dimensional shit pretty quickly.
Before we go further into that, what did you think of the first Cloverfield movie, Cloverfield? What'd you think of that? The found footage one with the monster. What'd you think of that?
I mostly, I thought it was okay. Like
medium?
I wasn't like super excited about it when I watched it. I think I saw it maybe a year or two after it came out. I've only seen it the one time. I didn't rush back to watch it again or anything, but it was a pretty cool idea at the time. That found footage sort of monster movie thing was all right, but
great marketing campaign. When it first came out, we didn't have a name for the movie. We just had the release date, and everyone was just referring to it as 1/18/08 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then when the second trailer came out, we had the title Cloverfield. Great marketing for these movies, obviously, because we didn't even know we were getting another Cloverfield movie until we got the trailer for 10 Cloverfield Lane, which came out of nowhere 2 months before the movie was going to come out. We've talked about this before, but 10 Cloverfield Lane. What do you think?
I liked that a hell of a lot more from the first movie. Minus the sort of last 10 minutes or so where they kind of shoehorned the Cloverfieldy stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
But largely, I was a massive fan of that movie. Yeah,
I liked that movie pretty much start to finish. I liked the alien bit at the end. That was the Cloverfieldness I was waiting for.
Yeah.
The thing about these Cloverfield movies, we have talked about this before, I like the idea of the anthology film and stuff not being explained, because in the first one you don't find out where this monster comes from. In all the lead up to the film coming out, there was all this viral stuff offshore drilling and stuff, and captured raws on the viral marketing stuff, the monster roaring and stuff. There was a satellite that crashes into the ocean, and we've accidentally awoken something hibernating deep in the ocean. And that's pretty much, that's enough, but the mystery is still there. It's compelling enough to be there.
Yeah.
Same with 10 Cloverfield Lane. You think you're getting this sort of thriller, these people in this fallout shelter, is this guy just crazy? He thinks it's the Ruskies or whatever coming and their ground invasion or whatever. And then you get out and you find out it's fucking aliens and you're like, whoa, Cloverfieldness. But yeah, the mystery there and the anthology theme, every movie would be different. It would be its own self-contained thing, but still carry the overall, the theme and the weirdness of this Cloverfield films, the franchise and that. Thinking about this movie, as it was spoiler heavy as well, what actually happens when they activate the particle accelerator, they pretty much tear apart the fabric of space-time, and then you get into multiple dimensions and dimensions smashing together and overlapping and bleeding into each other, and stuff from another dimension coming into ours or us going into them, and it's real weird. The whole time I was watching, I was just thinking of Rick and Morty. When I was explaining it in my mind, I'm just like, Rick and Morty. Infinite dimensions, infinite versions of everything, possibility you could ever think of.
But just not fun. Like Rick and Morty.
But the thing about this movie is they go out of their way to tie it back to the previous two films, the first one especially. So the reasons why we had a monster in the first movie and the reasons why we had aliens in the second movie is because where they activated this particle accelerator, stuff from different dimensions is bleeding into other dimensions. So you would pretty much say that each movie is a different dimension. They're not all set in the same one. It's getting weird now talking about it. It's not all set in the same world. They're all set in different dimensions.
I gotta say, Hales started watching them. I put it on because I was just like, it's just dropped on Netflix tonight. Let's get it. And she got about 10 minutes into it, and she's like, I'm going to bed. I can't do it. I'm like, what's the matter? And she's like, it's got Paradox in the title. I'm out. I should have gone with her.
But yeah, that's how they explain. But the way they do it is, the problem with this movie, it feels like the God Particle, the original script, or the working title script, it was a movie that they retrofitted to be a Cloverfield movie. But it feels like, you think 10 Cloverfield Lane and the aliens at their end are real ham-fisted. But this feels even worse. This feels like two movies they've tried to splice together. Or they've taken this sort of like sci-fi, we'll say horror, because I think by watching a lot of stuff that happens in this movie, I think originally it was written as a horror movie. But they've taken out like the horror aspects, but left like some of those horrific scenes in the movie. So when you're watching those, it feels like a horror movie, but it's not actually a horror movie.
Yeah.
But all the Cloverfield stuff, they've just like put it in. And the way they explain all the dimension stuff is like in the first 15 minutes, they have this news cast from Earth being played on the space station.
The worst.
With a cameo from Donald Logue, who's written this book called The Cloverfield Paradox, and he's explaining, like, we don't know, we've never built a particle accelerator this big, we don't know what's going to happen when we switch it on. If you believe in the Cloverfield Paradox, what's actually going to happen? We're going to fuck space-time and dimensions, we could unleash monsters, he says this, monsters, demons, creatures from the deep, and shit, and you're like, oh, there's a throwback to the first movie.
Yeah.
So in the first 15 minutes, they pretty much explain
it was the
how all this,
worst use of foreshadowing ever, because it was just so blatantly like
it was so on the nose.
It was so out of place. Like, this guy did not appear again in the movie at all. And he comes on screen in a news report, says the title of the movie, and then proceeds to tell you exactly what's going to happen.
This is what's going to happen after we turn this on. Yeah.
And it's a Cloverfield movie, so we all know that, like, there's going to be monsters and demons because fucking the other movies had monsters and shit. So the moment he said that, I was just like, well, fuck, I'm out. Like, you already know what the movie's going to do. Like, it's fucked. Yeah.
And then he says as well, like, setting up the previous films and also future films, because I talked last week, the fourth Cloverfield film, Overlord, is already finished shooting. It's a World War II set movie about a group of paratroopers, American paratroopers, before D-Day. They paratroop in and they go to this village, and the Nazis are there performing these experiments, and it's got like a supernatural twist. So perhaps they're trying to tap into like some of the same like energies or whatever that they've unlocked. I don't know, whatever it's going to be. But he says in this news article as well, he's like, and it's not just going to be us that's affected. The present, the future, the past, like everything's going to be affected. Yeah, other timelines, like other dimensions. Like they're pretty much just like...
Sounds like the shittiest marketing for the Cloverfield franchise as a whole, doesn't it? Like he's like just going, there's not going to be just this movie. There's going to be 20 others of different timelines and different places. It was so blatant. I fucking hated the shit out of that.
And that's like what we were just talking about. Like, once you explain the mystery, that's the fun gone out of it.
Yeah, that's that next movie. I don't care for it anymore.
It's not going to be as fun anymore, because when they get to the thing, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, they're like, this happened because of when they switch this thing on in the future, it's affected the past. And that's why this is happening. I said to you before, we were having dinner before, and I said, it would have been better if they got 5, 6, 7 movies in the can and then they had this movie. Like, even if it was a better version of this movie, that would have been nice. But, they could have explained it then. But let me have the mystery a bit longer. Let me enjoy the anthology of this thing. Do the same marketing. Do the same, we're going to give you a trailer out of nowhere, Still do that. But let me have the mystery, because last week, I was keen for this fourth film, and I still am, but it's a little less fun now because I know...
Completely tainted by that now.
I know what they've done. They've kind of ruined it. Not ruined it, but it's taken the fun out of it for me.
It's like what I said before,
the mystery's gone.
Every time you see Darth Vader now, all you can think is fucking Mannequin Skywalker from the original ones. Like,
Sand is coarse and it gets everywhere.
Yeah. He's still he's become part of that character now and ruined a great thing, and I think that's what this has done. It's like it's going to ruin the mystery for potentially however many fucking Cloverfield movies they decide to make. But it's the movie that should never, like, they just didn't need it. They didn't need to tell the story.
I didn't need to be told this.
No.
And there's a lot of stuff on the space station, like 70% of the stuff's on the space station, but they keep cutting back to Earth because, like, the main character, Hamilton, like, her husband's still on Earth, and it keeps cutting back to Earth to him. Like, you see the hospital ruined, and there's this big smoke, and you see this big monstrous shadow, like, in the background behind the smoke, and you're like, ooh, a monster. Is this going to be a different monster? Is it going to be the same monster from the first movie? Because they did that on the Super Bowl day. Like, on their Facebook page, they had, like, a little 10-second snippet, and because it had been nearly 10 years since the first Cloverfield movie came out, they started to show a bit of the first film, and they're like, find out why this happened tonight, and then they showed the Clover. I'm like, you're tying it back to the first movie? Even just seeing that 10 seconds, I'm like, do I really want to know why that happened? Like, the mystery, leave me with the mystery. The mystery's more fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, as soon as you know how a magic trick works, that's the fun of it gone. You'll always just see the trick. You'll never see the magic.
That's the thing with the first movie. It never mattered, like, where this thing came from
That's
or
exactly
why
right.
it was doing it. What mattered was getting the fuck out of the city and trying to survive. That was the thing. So,
and the last 10 years of fan theories and speculation and that's more
now you've
fun.
just killed it all. People will talk about it for about a week, and then someone will figure it out, like 100%, like all the fucking little plot hole tangenty things, and then that's it. Like, you've just killed all of that, like, buzz in the background for your films. So, yeah.
Shithouse. The one bit that I did think was, like, kind of cool, but also stupid at the same time, is when Volkov, he starts to go crazy, and he goes to, like, the futuristic 3D printer, and he prints, like, a gun. Do you see that bit? Or he, like, 3D prints a gun, and he's just standing there just watching it, just waiting to print. It's like, just building this gun.
The moment
he pulls
I
out this
saw
little
that,
space gun and puts some bullets or something like that in it. It's like, where do you get those bullets from? He must have 3D printed them as well.
the moment I saw that 3D printer because they showed it earlier in the film.
She was making a bagel. 3D printing it like a food.
Yeah. The moment that they showed that, I was like, someone's going to make a weapon in that thing. Like, there's no reason for this thing to be here other than to be a plot device.
Same shot, same with the worms in the opening credits.
Yep.
They had the lingering shot of the worms, and I saw that, and I'm like, that's going to be important later.
Yeah. Yep.
And then bloody Roy comes in, and he's like, Roy, the worms are gone.
That's what I thought the entire movie too. Like, you cannot not see Roy from the IT crowd whenever you see
his name. The character he plays in the movie is Mundy, and obviously he's a very funny guy. He's a very funny actor, a very funny comedian. But obviously they probably want to integrate some humor. Like, well, we've got him, we might as well make the most of it. We'll integrate some humor in there. There's a scene going back to the worms. Volkov kind of goes insane and he goes loopy and he tries to murder people, and then he spews his guts up and dies. And then while he's on the medical bed, he coughs up like all the worms, like, and the worms go over and everyone gets covered and they're all squashing him. And then it cuts to Chris O'Dowd, Mundy, and he's like, oh, well, now at least we know where the worms went. And I'm like, wasn't that guy just your friend? Haven't you been living with him, like, on this space station for the last 2.5 years or whatever? And I was like, it was funny. Like, part of me found it funny, but then the other part of me just like, that's a bit out of place, that joke. Like, you didn't need that there. Like, you've just ruined the horrific tension, like, the reveal and that.
Yeah, everything about, like, he was just purely... See, the thing is, the acting in this movie was actually, like, as good as they could have done with the script I think they were given. Because, you know, they weren't shit actors. But there was just a lot of shit dialogue.
And there really wasn't much for them to do.
No. And
like, the lady that plays
they're
Hamilton...
not
like,
memorable characters either. They're really one-sided. Like, you don't... There was no depth or, like, backstory to anyone. There was like, that's the Russian guy. That's the Chinese lady.
That's the captain.
Like, they're all very stereotypical of the country that they came from. Like, oh, the Irish guy, he's the funny one. Like, you know?
And you had, like, Zhang Ji and that in there. I was glad to see her, because I haven't really seen her in much, like, lately, and it was great to see her in that film. You get Daniel Bruhl, he's, like, the physicist and the bloody suspicious German, you know, but some of the stuff was actually really cool, because where the dimensions start to bleed together, because what happens with them, where the Earth disappears, they get zapped into another dimension, like an alternate dimension from where they are. And the ship that exists there, because they talk about fucking quantum mechanics or physics or whatever, where dimensions, like two dimensions invading the same space, fighting you know, to control the same space or whatever, and like causing chaos and stuff. Like, and they had this thing where they've zapped into this dimension. He's a good guy, but the physicist from their dimension, he was in league with the Russians on Earth, and he had these secret messages and that, and they thought it was him. Like, you know, you're going to sabotage this station and everything and ruin it, and the Russians were going to take over or whatever. And he's like, that wasn't me. He's like, I never did that. So I thought that bit was kind of cool, somewhat confusing until it was explained. It would have been confusing for anyone, you know, like, who's not really into sort of sci-fi stuff, But
yeah, watching that play out at the time too was really fucking confusing because you don't, like, there was no real explanation of what was happening with the crossovers yet at that stage. It was just all kind of happening, and you're like, why the fuck is, like, this guy talking to himself, and what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, because that really felt like a horror movie there. Like, something different was meant to happen, but they've changed it to fit to this Cloverfield movie. But they've left that in, and it kind of doesn't make sense. We explained that. We just figured, like, well, you said to me when we were having dinner, you're like, I took that as he was sort of perhaps merging with his self from another dimension, and he was hearing the other version of himself talking to himself. Not, we couldn't hear him, but in his mind, he was hearing that guy.
Yeah.
Or it was the two versions of himself in the same body or whatever, and they were, it was really odd. But what else happened? Fuck. Oh, the chick in the wall, she turned out to be a woman from the dimension they faced into, and she...
The Australian dimension?
Yeah, the Australian dimension. She occupied their space in that now, and... Yeah, but the woman who played Hamilton, she was the most interesting. She had the most to do. She had the most character development. Like the stuff with the kids and stuff, and as a busy dad, that probably would have affected you as well.
Not that much. Not as much as it should have. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, she was, you know, it's the same thing. She did her role to the best that I think she could have.
What she had to work with.
She was a great actor. It was just like... Yeah, not
she had the most
to
chew on in that script.
Yeah.
And someone like David, I always pronounce his name wrong, Oyelawai, or whatever his name is. He played the captain. Like, he's a great actor. Like, you see him in, like, Selma and stuff. He was even great in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He played the head of the medical thing that Franco worked for.
Yeah.
Like, he was great in that. But in this movie, like, he was really underused. Like, he didn't have anything to do.
No. It's
And-
almost like they piled too many crew members onto the ship.
Yeah, they should have had a couple less and give, you know, others more to do. You know, that would have, you know, spread some dialogue around. Oh, so in the end, they're like, how are we going to fix this? Let's turn it back on. That should fix everything. You're like, okay. So they turn it back on.
Yeah, you want to do it all again?
Yeah,
all right.
they turn it back on. They get zapped back to their own time. The station starts to break apart, and there's this bit where they got to go and disconnect this section of the space shuttle or the space station. And they're like, he turns to him and he says, I said this to you before, when we go out there, we don't know what the gravity's going to be like, so be ready. And they're like, okay, something weird's going to happen. And he goes like out into the vacuum of space, and it's like regular Earth gravity. And he just like slides over the zip line and unconnects and then just like falls normally. I'm like, I know you said that you don't know what's going to be going on with the gravity, but you can't just go one way or the other, you know? You could have maybe just like straddled the line a bit.
When we go outside, it's pretty much going to be Earth in space because the budget can't do another visual effects thing because we've spent all our money.
We can't afford the wire work, so...
Yeah. Because it was a very pretty movie, and then they did that bit, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
The budget was $45 million, and for what they had, I think it was a very nice looking movie.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of sets when you think about it, but what they had to work with, they did a great job.
Yeah.
Wasn't keen on probably the costumes and that, the space costumes. With the big yellow lines and that on them, they looked a bit tacky.
Oh, I didn't mind the
the
Aussie,
actual spacesuits.
The Aussie chicks suit looked pretty cool, I thought. Like,
the white ones they wear.
Menacing in that, yeah.
Yeah, I meant just like the green bloody...
Oh, yeah.
The bloody overalls and stuff.
Yeah.
No, the spacesuits actually look really good. Elizabeth Debicki looks good in anything. Like, she was great. She played the head gold chick in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The Gold Empress chick. Right. I forget her name or whatever. But she was in that. Yeah, she's
kinda
great.
Like elven looking, isn't she?
Yeah.
Like really gaunt and long.
Well, if they make another bloody Hobbit movie or whatever, just give her a ring, you know.
Give her a ring. Da-dum.
Wow, thanks. So in the end, what do? They fire it back up. They get zapped back to their own dimension. They communicate with Earth, and shit's getting fucked up. And they jump in this pod. There's only 2 of them left, and they're like, we got to come back to Earth. And her husband's on the phone with this guy from the bloody NASA or whatever we'll say. And he's like, we found the station. They're coming home. I'm keeping you up to date like I said I would because I'm like not terribly busy at all. I've got enough time to give you a call. And he's like, what are you doing? Tell them not to come back. They can't come back. They got to stay there. And it's like, it's too late. It's too late. The space station couldn't stay in space. They've got to come back. They don't have a choice. He's like, they can't come back here with these things. Anyway, so you see the escape capsule. It's coming down in the atmosphere, and it goes through the clouds. And you think it's going to cut back to them, and they're going to see something. But then we get a giant, like, clover monster from, like, same monster from the first film, species, burst up through the clouds, roar its fucking head off, and then the movie ends. And I'm like, that was pretty big to get up above those clouds.
It was.
But then we're going to get deep in it again.
I was saying to you before too, like I really like the idea of them. Like they should have ended the movie. I probably would have liked the movie a hell of a lot more if they went the Monty Python sort of thing. Like the ship's coming down and the head pops out of the cloud and just goes, or he's like having a big yawn, and then the
it's like a fly in the throat. It's like,
just like and then that kills the monster, and then, like, Earth rejoices.
The monster just chokes and, like, falls on New York and just crushes it completely.
23 million people dead, but, you know, they killed the monster.
Yeah. So, anyway, like, you see the monster at the end of this movie, and it's not the same monster from the first movie, because it's a different dimension, but it is the same species of monster. So, it's bled from another dimension, wherever they come from, into theirs. So, one thing they said, just trying to explain the size a bit, one thing they always said about the monster in the first movie, that they created it and designed it and made the size of it to be like, it's an infant, like it's a newborn, and it's scared, and it doesn't know what's going on, it's been attacked, and it's just frightened and running, and that's why it's just destroying everything. There's no real rhyme or reason to what it's doing. It's just like a scared elephant, just like barraging through a village. This one would have been like a fully grown adult. Like, it was huge. And the head design was bigger and it had more teeth and stuff. And
maybe it's just from a dimension that was bigger monsters.
True. Because infinite realities, infinite dimensions. Yeah. And they always said about
realities where, like, I'm like 1 centimeter taller or 1 centimeter shorter than I currently am now. I mean, maybe it's that.
Oh, you're the John Kay of that dimension.
Yeah. I created Ren and Stimpy.
You created Ben and Tumpy.
Ben and Tumpy. There's still time.
So, yeah, what was I saying? To explain the monster. Oh, yeah. In the first one, they said the baby's like walking on all fours like a baby would, but, you know, they designed it so maybe when it's full grown, it could be bipedal, so it'd stand on 2 legs. So that would be the reason, like, why it was maybe able to burst above those clouds. Or maybe we just had a low-hanging cloud that day.
Yeah, it could have been.
Got a bit of low-hanging cloud coming in from the north. Oh, shit. There's a monster. So, yeah, that's their explanation. Why there was a monster in the first one. Why there was aliens in the first one. Because the aliens came from a dimension where there are aliens into a dimension where there isn't. And it just, yeah. And that's how they're going to explain every weird thing that happens in these movies in the future. And that takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If you were to put a number on this film, how many clovers would you give it out of 5 clovers?
2, I think.
I'd give it a 3, because I actually did like it. All the stuff I'm sort of complaining about, I was just like, that was a missed opportunity. You shouldn't have done that. I didn't actually hate the movie. I did enjoy it. But, yeah, life was better last year. I quite like that movie.
Yeah, I've still got to fire that one up. You gave me the Blu-ray for that.
I sure did. You're welcome. Fuck, I'll give you a lot of shit.
Good shit.
Yeah, good shit. But no, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I'm keen for more Cloverfield movies, but yeah, this didn't need to happen. Like the Han Solo movie, this didn't need to happen.
I almost kind
But
of
we
wish
got
it
it.
didn't, and then this World War II one probably would be really cool. But now... it's
And it
gonna be
sounded like a lot
tainted.
scarier too.
Yeah.
You're like these American like paratrooper like corps or whatever in this village. There are like Nazi shit going on. They're the only ones there. They're on their own. It makes it more frightening because they're the only ones that know about it, and they're the only ones that can deal with it at the time. And they're like everyone else is off fighting this war, and they're stuck in like this supernatural element film in this village. But now you're just like, oh, particle accelerator. That's why that's happening.
Yeah. And
Dimensions,
just
dimensions where there's ghosts,
the whole film...
Nazi ghosts.
Most of the film feels pretty borrowed too, like this one, If the whole worms chest bursting fucking
Straight out of Alien.
thingo was straight out of Aliens, like just the way the whole setup, the crew on the spaceship, Yeah, it just kind of felt like it was paint by numbers, but like throw as much weird shit in as they could. But
There were a couple of cool
didn't
things
make
in there I
sense.
thought was actually pretty cool that I hadn't seen before. I had seen the chest bursting thing before, obviously, but the worms and that, I thought that was pretty cool. The chick inside the wall, like with all the cords and pipes and shit going through it, that was fucking awesome. Zhang Ji, where she's caught in the airlock and it's filling with water and it's busting out. I'm like, she's going to get blown out into space.
Yeah.
But as soon as the seal broke, all the water that was in the chamber just automatically froze and she was just stuck in this big ice cube. And I'm like, that's cool because I haven't seen that before. But where did all that water come from in the first place? That's the question I'm asking. It was stuff like that I thought was really cool. And Roy, where his arm goes through the thing and they pull his arm out and his arm's completely missing. But then it turns up later and
I
they
hated that.
they capture it in like the glass tank and then it does the,
the fucking
the waiting tap.
Adam's Family shit, and you're like, what?
And then
is
it's
this?
like writing and it's like, oh, my arm is writing something. And then it's like, cut the other guy open, Volkov open. And they cut him open and they pull out like the big gyro compass thing that makes the particle accelerator work. And I'm like, that's too big to be in his sternum. He's a pretty fit guy. That wouldn't have fit in there.
Yeah, it's fucking massive. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
the
huge.
size of a basketball.
That's like the size of a small chili bin.
So, yeah, and what dimension do they have, like, the X-ray on our dimension looking in, going like, I think, yeah, it's over in that bloke's stomach. Yeah, cut him open, mate, and you'll find it in there. What?
Wouldn't the space station have been so advanced that they would have X-rayed him first before they cut him open?
Yeah, you'd think.
Who knows?
Don't know. Full of fucking, it's just, it's science fiction without the science. It's just kind of ridiculous fiction.
Now that I've watched all of Black Mirror, I'm like, this is the worst episode of Black Mirror I've ever seen.
Yeah, pretty much. It did
I'm just
kind of
like,
feel
now
that.
I just equate like all this science fiction-y tech paranoia stuff and that back to Black Mirror, which you have to fucking watch.
Yeah.
Honestly, man. Like, you don't have to worry about, diving in for the long haul because you're a busy dad. You got to keep running back and forward. These are all self-contained episodes. You can watch one and then leave it for 2 weeks and there's just another whole new story you're going to watch.
Yeah. I'm
Gotta
definitely
get
down
on
for
it.
a bit of that sort of
Oh,
thing
man,
now.
you got to get on it. Honestly. As soon as I was done, I rang Pat and I was like, I love you. Why didn't I watch this sooner? Thanks for bugging me to watch it. It was the best. I loved it. I don't think there was one bad episode. There were just varying degrees of betterness.
Yep.
Like, there was a great episode, and even I think the worst episode was still good, but it just wasn't as interesting or better as other ones I've watched.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely watch it. Definitely.
I'll get on it.
So, the Cloverfield Paradox, 3 clovers out of 5 from me.
Yeah, it's a 2-leaf clover for me.
2-leaf clover. To be sure. We might wrap it up.
Yeah. I reckon, what do you reckon? A guesstimate of Patty. Well, Patty's already said shit house, but I'd say half a clover leaf out of 5 for Patty.
Pat already says, like, when Pat watches a movie and stuff, he'll just watch it and you won't hear from him. Like, you text him. When he was watching this, he was on the group chat, just like giving us play-by-play commentary, the whole thing. This is just like fucking Final Destination in space, he said one thing, and
I was firing him back too, because I think I was maybe 15, 20 minutes behind in the movie from him as well, and I'm like, the fuck is this?
And the bit where he said, like, where Mundy gets killed, like, he gets the big electromagnetic pulls like pulling up against the wall.
Yeah.
And then you see the tentacles like come up behind him, grab him. They're like going into his orifices in his mouth and his nose and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fucked. He's like, what's the deal with all them tentacles and that? And my figuring for that was they were perhaps the worms that were on the ship from another dimension, but the particle accelerator perhaps mutated them or something like that. And they've come through. That was my rationale for what they were.
Well, I mean, they all sort of worked to like...
And they were kind of the same colour as well. They're kind of purpley and...
That scene went a really, like, the opposite direction of what I thought it was going to do. I think Patty said the same thing, because this magnet thing was, like, pulling everything in the room across...
onto the wall, and it was, like, hovering on the wall and stuff.
And he was, like, looking at that wall, and then from behind, all the metal nanobots that he just sprayed on are, like... creeping out, and I'm like, oh, they're all getting magnetized in,
and they're gonna go like straight through him, and...
yeah, just like go straight through his body, and that would have been an amazing fucking death if that happened. Like, just magnetized this whole fucking stream of tiny little fucking shards through his body. It would have been awesome, but
probably more expensive what they could afford.
Probably, but I mean, yeah, they just all pulled back the opposite direction from the magnet, and I'm like, well, why did they even move in the first place? That's fucking weird. Like, why did you have the magnet thing if your payoff is this metal shit goes the opposite way to the magnets? Like, it was weird.
It still would have cost money just to do that magnet effect.
Yeah.
Like on the wall. You could have just had something else distract him, like a banging in the wall. He's like, oh, not again.
Yeah.
And he goes to investigate, and then the tentacles grab him.
He's like, not putting my arm in there again. And then...
and he was so blasé about his arm being gone.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, he was real terrible doctor. He's like, there's obviously no pain in that, but... And then he's just like talking, he's like, he's in shock. And I'm like, you're a great doctor.
Yeah, you're great. He's got fucking a deli ham for an arm left now. And
it's just been on the slicer.
And no one fucking cares that it's not bleeding or anything. It's just fucking sitting there perfectly.
Yeah, it's like there's no blood. It's like you were born with it. There's no pain or anything. And then he's like on the console later just working away. And he has some line about, like, right, we're going to turn the particle accelerator back on. He's like, oh, well, good luck, everyone. And then goes back to his work. And I'm just like, you've got no arm. Like, if I had no arm, I would be quite distraught. Yeah. Even if it didn't hurt or anything, he makes that line about, do you think it's going to grow? He's like, I don't know what the rules are anymore, but do you think it'll grow back? And he's like, I don't know. So great.
Fuck.
I didn't hate it, but it was definitely the weakest of the three.
I hated that I lost a night of potential
PlayStation store scrolling.
Yeah, exactly.
I could have went through and looked at 50 games on the PlayStation Store in the time it took me to watch that.
I've seen all the specials for the week and not bought anything. Or bought and downloaded another game that I'll probably never open.
True that. Bobby Baxter, people want to find you online. Where can they go?
Look for BobbyBaxter.com or Bobby Baxter Cartoons on Instagram and Facebook. And Bobby Baxter on Twitter if you're so inclined.
Mm-hmm.
Ran out of breath.
And if you want to find the Bearded Geeks, you can find us online at Facebook, facebook.com/BeardedGeeksPod, on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on TeePublic if you want to buy a t-shirt. And if you want to listen to the show, you can find us on SoundCloud and iTunes, where you can download the show. Or you can also find us on YouTube. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. Do it.
We're gearing up for this freelance festival. Getting a lot of emails from Sue. She's the coordinator of the festival and stuff. And we had to send off headshots and bios for the websites, which are up. I don't know if you've seen them.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, they're up.
Oh, shit.
We're actually sharing a thing in the speaker set. Like, you and I share the thing, and that's my photo, not yours.
Good. Okay.
Thought you might be a bit cut up about that.
No, well, you know,
but
I would have turned up on the day and everyone would have gone like, who is this guy? Because I put in a picture from like 4 years ago or something where I had long hair.
Yeah, you look real mysterious.
Yeah, I do.
Except I didn't give her a link to our Instagram page. So on my link with all the Bearded Geek stuff, Facebook, Twitter, and that, she's put a link to your Instagram.
Hey!
So it goes to Bobby Baxter Cartoons on Instagram.
Yeah, still, yeah.
So if you want to check that out, you can go to launcestonfreelancefestival.com.au, and we're under Visionary Speakers.
Ooh, visionary.
Yeah, Visionary Speakers.
Shit.
So yeah, we got that coming up too. I've got to write a workshop in the next 2 months. So
Get on it.
yeah, better start that.
Just wing it like we've been doing this show.
Next week, Black Panther's out next week. I will go see that at some stage. I don't think we'll do a Black Panther episode. We'll be out next week.
Real fast.
Yeah, I think we'll probably save that, won't we? Maybe we'll go watch it and we'll stew on it for a couple of days and
Yeah.
we'll have that episode out a couple of weeks after it's out.
Yep.
We might do that.
Give people a chance to see it too. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
True. So, don't know what we'll do next week.
That's a good idea for the year, I think,
Yeah. We said that at the beginning of the year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Try not to be too bloody.
Always jumping the gun and no one can listen to our podcast.
That's true. That's true.
So.
Everybody's got to come back and listen to it after they've seen it. But hopefully everyone would have watched Cloverfield Paradox by now. I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone tuned because they said it was one night only. And I thought it was the same here, but I tuned in yesterday and it was still sitting there. I was like, oh, right. Good on you, Netflix.
Yeah. Damn it.
Everyone was wondering, I saw this tweet, it was like, why did Paramount sell this movie to Netflix? And it's like, after I watched it, I'm like, oh, that's why. How this would have went in the cinema, I don't know. Maybe their opening weekend would have been pretty good, but word of mouth probably would have got around pretty quick.
Would have flopped pretty fast, I reckon. Yeah.
Anyway, but it was only a $45 million movie, so maybe they would have brought in, 70, 80 million, in that first couple of weeks.
I can't get too angry at a movie that I basically didn't really pay any money for either. So
that you didn't know when you were getting that morning, and then you found out because I messaged you and told you, and then you watched it that night. Like you didn't know, you thought you might go see it in a couple of months, but we got it for free on Netflix. We pay our $13 a month. Yeah, and now we have access. We can watch it whenever we want.
I'd love to see this happen a bit more often, though. A bit more. I mean, Netflix does do that. They do straight to Netflix movies all the time. But these bigger budget movies, send them straight here. I don't have to fucking deal with the dickheads in the row behind me chucking jaffas at fucking everyone's heads and shit.
Yep.
I sound like an old man. I don't have to deal with the teens.
Not the teens!
Not the teens, Patrick Brown. What do the teens even do?
The teens won't be interested in housing.
That's the line. Oh,
man. But no, I think they will keep up with this sort of, quick and mysterious marketing.
Everyone's got
this
a home
Overlord
cinema
movie.
Now.
We only found out about this a week and a half ago, and it's already in the can. The movie's already finished. When's this going to debut? We're meant to get this later in the year. Is Netflix going to buy this one up again, or will Paramount just be like, nah, this one's actually pretty good. We're going to hang on to this one. But is this going to affect its release now because of this movie, Cloverfield Paradox?
I know.
It's had such a dirty reception. Not so dirty and dirty. It's pretty much, it's mixed. People actually really liked it, or people actually hated it.
Yep.
I'm in the middle. I liked it, but there are bits in it I wish they didn't do or changed or spent a bit more time on it, But yeah, is this going to affect the next film? The Cloverfield, whatever it's going to be called.
I hope it doesn't affect the chance of this kind of system happening as well, where they release movies straight on like this, just because this one wasn't critically received, 100%. It would have been great if this movie was a fucking amazing, just awesome movie.
Oh man, just imagine if this was another in the caliber of 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah.
People would be shitting.
It'd be
that good.
It would have launched the Netflix brands through the fucking roof. You'd see so
and perhaps
many more movies
that's what they were betting on as well.
Hoping for, yeah. And unfortunately, might not pay off.
It's kind of backfired a little, not so much.
Yeah.
It wasn't as well received as they probably would have hoped. Anyway, hopefully they'll learn something from this, and maybe that movie's not completely in the can yet, and they'll just go back. I mean, the budgets are pretty small. This one was $45 million. The amount of money that Disney spends on reshoots for every fucking Star Wars movie now is ridiculous. So why can't they just chuck them an extra $15 million to go out and okay, we're going to give you 4 weeks, 2 weeks or whatever, go out and do some reshoots, work on the bits think need working on, add some scenes, fix some dialogue, do whatever, just make it better.
Mm.
And the best you can possibly make it.
Guess you got to scrounge up 15 mil.
Studio will pay. Make them pay. Anyway, I don't know what we'll do next week. I don't even know if you're going to be here.
Yeah, sounds like I might be still working on this super secret project. So
No, you'll be here.
See where we are in the can with that.
All right. If not, I'm taking a week off. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you all maybe next week on the Bearded Geeks.
Hey!